I like how I had fancy graphics and none of them are working, so I'm just gonna go to my... Can you guys hear me on Twitch? Can you guys hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, I can move my mic closer. I'm kind of in an echoey room, so that should be a little better. Okay, cool. So welcome to the stream. Let me make sure I'm recording too. Okay, so I'm recording too. So welcome everyone to the Q&A stream. I guess we can do more of these if there's demand for them. I suppose. So we got 23. Here we go. So it's rising. So in case you don't know me, I'm ILoveKimPossibleAlot, former friend of Lily Orchard. With me today I have Brittany, who is Lily's first online victim, and then Courtney, Lily's sister, unfortunately. And then Whitney, who is a past team member, but she has experience with cults. So I thought it would be interesting to hear her speak. So the order that we're thinking about doing this is Whitney's going to kind of talk about her experience with cults. And then we're going to kind of respond to points in Lily's video about, just bullshit she said, and then we'll open up to Q&A. For those watching via Twitch, the Q&A is in my server, so if you want to ask questions, then let me know. Is that better? No, I don't think that's going to be better. Twitch says you're echoing over there. Must be Twitch issues since you're not in here. Okay. Yeah, my Twitch volume is down, so I shouldn't be too echoey. But yeah, I'm in a really echoey room, so that's a little bit unavoidable. I hope it's not too distracting. Okay, so why don't we start? So, Whitney, why don't you do a test to make sure everyone can hear you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not watching from Twitch. I'm just in the Discord. But yeah, if there's any issues with the Twitch side, just start commenting, I guess.
You guys hear her? Okay, so they said they can hear you. So,
Okay.
So Whitney, tell me about your cult experience, because this kind of, the reason we're talking about this is it applies to Lily and how she kind of cultivates her audience to not look at things that are contradictory to her narrative. And she uses a lot of language that's like, please, just trust me, bro. Just trust me. Like, what's an example? Like with a lot of Britney screenshots, she said like, oh, they're unedited, and like I think she cropped them in her video just to show that like, hey, who knows who said these? Question mark. So yeah, it's not great. So go ahead, Whitney. The metaphorical floor is yours.
Thank you, KB. So yeah, I have some experience with cults. I grew up in one. I won't name which one, as I'm still a relatively prevalent individual in my own community, and you know, I still want to make sure that those people feel comfortable reaching out to me if they feel so inclined. Because a big thing from the religion that I grew up in was kind of social pariah and isolation. Um, so I just took down a couple of notes. I'm just going to read from the notes app about certain correlations that I've noticed from like looking back on things and how they affected sort of my upbringing and how things with this situation kind of reflect on that. So, while most people view cults as inherently religious entities, they don't always need a core of worship in the traditional sense. There's a reason the cult of personality is a common turn of phrase, and often a singular person can either create a cult around themselves or individuals themselves and create misplaced or hyper parasocial relationships with creators or individuals. And regardless of the root of it or who starts it, it can be dangerous for all parties involved. When cults are formed by the parasocial individual in question, whether formally or informally, results and often show excessive forms of devotion, It breaks down their members through aggressive forms of isolation, whether real or perceived, punishments, both extreme and moderate, and rewards for complacency and devotion, sometimes big, sometimes small. In this case, certain things I've noticed as parts of repetition and similar to these practices in Lily's case is that she often discourages her friends, followers, and subscribers from looking into her history and actively tries to scrub it from the internet, both heavily rewarding and love bombing her friends and people in her life, verbally abusing or insulting and undermining the people who try and communicate with her when she has done something wrong, or cutting them out entirely to prevent them from getting the ears of the other people in her circle before she can, under the guise of the individual who brought up the issue in question. She usually accuses people who bring these things up of being abusive, manipulative, idiotic, or even transphobic and homophobic, even though from what I've seen online that a majority of the people who brought this issue to light are also LGBTQIA+. And similarly to how a lot of new age religions will rewrite their own histories, as certain practices they used to do become illegal or extremely frowned upon. Like in the case of the religion that I grew up in, they'll use statements like personal growth of the leadership or commandment of the God in question, when in reality, like changes that happen to the doctrine were usually a result of either public outcry or, in the case of a lot of American cults, the threat of losing their tax exemption status. In Lily's case currently, she would risk losing her audience or a big chunk of it, and thus her monetization. And that would affect her overall livelihood, and that can be scary for anyone, and it's only reasonable that she wouldn't want to lose that. But by burying her history involving Courtney and the fan fiction that she wrote, she's actually digging herself into a deeper hole as refusing to take accountability will hurt her relationship with her audience in the long term much more than it would to acknowledge the fall and hold herself accountable to what has happened here. And similar to how cults use a very specific punishment and reward system, Lily has a history of spending a decent chunk of money on art commissions and flattering a lot of artists, which eventually usually takes a turn for the not safe for work market, which has had kind of a mixed history of making people uncomfortable. Some people have been fine with it. But when it comes to the not safe for work art, especially online, it's important to remember that you should keep it from entering spaces where children are present, which, like, to my knowledge, specifically with the pornographic imagery, she has done so, but not so much with her writing in the past. And there's also, I didn't write this down, but there's also the issue of, like, when you're on Tumblr or when you're on these open format spaces, you can't actually prevent children from seeing that, even when you put up certain protections. There are specific websites that are age moderated with IDs for this sort of stuff, and that's probably where this sort of stuff should have been kept, as opposed to, posting it online. Finding my place in my notes again.
Brittany and Courtney, if you want to add something, feel free to. It's not just Whitney time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about cult stuff? Okay, someone has a question, so yay. We'll invite them to speak. Okay.
All right.
What's your question?
So I actually grew up in a cult myself. I escaped 3 years ago, quite literally escaped. And while I was living through that situation, I was also involved with Lily's content, and it made it easier for me to accept the way that she treated her audience because I was accustomed to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I remember one girl specifically. I won't name her, but she was a trans girl who was in the Mormon church. So I think, seeing a very outspoken trans woman is empowering, but it's also prevents people from accusing or like painting Lily as a bad person because it means so much to their identity that that person is vocal and unapologetic about their identity that it can be problematic sometimes, I guess, or it can be hard to face that reality that someone you idolize or someone you looked up to or someone that made you feel more comfortable in your skin is a bad person. But so I think that's where a lot of her fans are. So a lot of her fans just find her and they find that she's trans, and then or people have been with her since the pony days, like my audience. So it just kind of depends.
Absolutely.
Does anyone else have
go
ahead.
I was just gonna say, when I used to work with KP on the team, it was because I was in the pony audience. And I do remember watching Lily's videos when I was younger. I don't think I was as into them back then. I think I was more into the Bronalysis community. And then over time started to grow a lot of that. But yeah, I definitely understand with that type of thing. And also, growing up in the cult, there's certain language, there's certain behaviors and attitudes that are used that just feel very similar. There's also the matter of black and white thinking is such a core facet of growing up in that type of religious environment that she does bring that to her channel, and because of that, it's very easy to kind of fall into a similar habit with a different coat of paint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Also, to follow up on Lily just not age gating things, I remember being a teenager and watching her content and her just casually dropping pornographic images of her character just in her videos. She used to do that.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm sure there are archives somewhere. Okay, Fennec, are you good? And
I'm all right. Yeah.
Cool. Does anyone else have any questions for Whitney before we move on to dissecting the response video, the great response video?
Just to add on to what Fennec was saying,
yeah,
I never watched any of her content once she started getting into the pony stuff, but I was watching her Tumblr for a long time. And she didn't start putting up age gates on her Tumblr until a few years ago, because she was having so many people calling her out for just doing really inappropriate things in front of minors and encouraging minors to interact with her sexually on Tumblr. She would do this series that she called TMI Tuesdays, where she'd basically be publicly sexting with her audience. Sometimes they would message her on Anon, sometimes they would message her with their URLs attached. And I've personally spoken to a number of people who were minors and interacted with her in that way. And one of the people that is still in her circle that also interacted with her in that way as a minor is Ginger, who was a fan of hers since she was 14 or 15. And Lily started dating her as soon as she turned 19.
Ick.
Yeah, so this has been, throughout her entire online presence, just something that she does.
I do have one more thing to say. So one thing that a lot of people neglect to mention is that Lily initially actually encouraged people to privately email her sexual content. So we don't know. We only know what she's done publicly. We don't actually know what she's done in private with the very same audience.
Oh, yeah.
Flat out asked people for nudes, on Tumblr.
Yep.
And when someone was like, hey, what if kids send you nudes? She's like, they shouldn't. And that's it.
She tried to pull the reverse psychology argument, where she basically said, oh, if I tell my audience to do this, then they're not going to do it. which was just the most weak, ridiculous excuse I've heard out of her.
That doesn't make sense to me. Like, on a side note, just as an artist, like, occasionally, it hasn't happened very often, especially recently, because my terms and conditions for my commissions are pretty strict. And I usually nowadays only do it through referral of past clients, just to kind of keep it from getting into spaces I don't want it to get into. But when somebody would like ask me for something not safe for work or send me reference images of something not safe for work, there would be no room for negotiation. I would immediately shut it down. So the reverse psychology thing doesn't make sense to me. To me personally, like just saying I don't want this and continuously setting that boundary is more than enough. It takes time, but it's more than enough.
And you also can't trust kids to be honest with you. So.
Nope.
And Lily will also turn around and scream at people for breaking her boundaries. So, like, girl, don't say that's reverse psychology when you're going to scream about a broken boundary later.
Yep.
Okay, does anyone have any other questions before we move on? Just raise your hand, I guess. Request to speak.
Matt had a question just in text chat.
Oh, okay. You can read it then, Whitney.
He just said I have a queue. He hasn't asked the question yet.
Oh, okay.
Are they? Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Before we move on? Okay, cool. So Fennec will kick you.
All right.
I don't want to kick him from the server. I just did one of these things before, and now I don't like. Timeout, kick, ban.
I'm also watching the Twitch chat just in case someone's not in here and they want to ask something over there.
Okay, I found the button. It says move to audience. Okay.
Oh, there was a question. Okay, so Lily seemed from Ghosty Fish. Lily seems to be operating on a constant intake manner rather than dedicated following. Would you agree or disagree?
Unfortunately, her numbers do better than mine, so I think for a lot of times when she burns people, she'll just like, I'll get new people. So I think that's what she does. I mean, anyone can jump in, but like, that's also what she does with friends and partners is like, oh, bye, see you. And then like something I noticed too is like, when there are leaks coming back, she was trying to be like, let's just shut down the KP channel and not address it. Like she didn't know I was going to go public. So, which I thought was funny because I'm not really afraid of her. But, you know, I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, it was a lot of just like, let's keep it on the down low. Let's everybody be quiet. No one knows what Kiwi Farms is. Shush. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is exactly what she does though. Like over the years, I've been watching how her audience kind of turns over. And she has a constantly revolving door of people. Because usually once people grow up a little bit and reach a certain age, or they just hit their breaking point with her, they'll just quietly leave. Mm-hmm. And then she'll have a new set of faces. And that they turn over every few years or so. It's never the same people, other than the people in her inner circle.
And I think, too, a lot of it has to do with their locale status at this point. So if you don't know what a locale is, it's basically someone the internet mines for to make fun of or to get attention from because they feel like that interaction is like someone who sometimes is so obviously bad that, you know, it's just a matter of time. So that's kind of the vibe I've gotten with the farms. I haven't interacted with it, but I've seen stuff. But, you know, compared to, like, Christian, the locale, which we won't get too much into Christian, but Christian, I think, is a more unfortunate case because they don't really know what they're doing sometimes. I mean, could be argued. But I think Lily knows exactly what she's doing. But I think she also doesn't like people picking on her for things that are obvious. Like, something I've noticed too is she's taking a lot of dunks on me as far as like, oh, KP doesn't know how to edit. KP doesn't do anything. KP, just like, I do know how to edit. How do you think I edited my videos like before I had a team? And B, shut the fuck up. So, does anyone else have any other questions before we move on? You can raise your hand or go in the chats. I'll give everyone like a second.
Real quick, I want to address something that Kai said in Twitch chat. I don't know if y'all have watched the video yet, but one of the things she mentions near the end of the video is bringing up something along the lines of comments under the video keep bringing up my Steven Universe, which has nothing to do with my accusation, so you're all just butthurt over my media takes. When your video had nothing to do with her media takes. Those are two separate conversations. Yeah, the funny thing about that is Lily has always militantly moderated her comment sections. She will delete anything even slightly critical of her.
All her comments are on hold.
Yeah, regardless of whether it's something major or just someone disagreeing with her. So the fact that she's trying to frame that as, oh, you're all just mad about my media takes, she's doing that on purpose. She is intentionally only allowing the media take comments through to make it look like that's the main thing people are griping about.
They're also trying to do that on Reddit. Like, there's a big thread talking about her response video. And, like, there's, like, a couple of people adamantly like, y'all are just butthurt about Steven Universe. And it's like, nobody talked about Steven Universe, bud.
Yeah.
But she wants that to be the thing.
Yeah, I tried real hard not to make it about her media takes. Like, even though I'm kind of like, maybe calling a Jewish woman a Nazi is not the best take, Lily. I never really watched Lily's videos, so, like, I was just not really paying attention to... Because people are like, oh, you like her media takes. I'm just like, not really.
I don't know what they are. Well, that's the thing. Like, her media takes don't matter. She's a fucking child predator.
Yeah.
And, like, to make it clear, I don't even watch most of the things that she makes content about. So I don't even have an opinion on a lot of those shows in the first place.
I grew up with her hating all the shows I like. I'm used to it.
Except Kim Possible, because she liked that, because, you know, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, Mark has a question, so... Add Mark. Okay, Mark, what's your question?
Hi, thank you for inviting me up here. I have noticed with a lot of Lily's work that she, with no matter what the property she's analyzing or degrading, she always finds like that one character she likes to either put on a high pedestal or sexualize. Like, I mean, we all know what she did in Stockholm, and for some reason, what I've never really got was her attraction or whatever, or some other third thing to Gardevoir. Like, what exactly is her own thing with Gardevoir and all the other things? And to add on to what Courtney said about her being a child predator, I have noticed that she is also made a little bit anti-Semitic as well in some way.
Yeah, I've started to notice that too, which is funny because she throws out the Nazi word, and I'm just like, bitch, yeah. Like, do you know what that means?
Lily just hates everyone that isn't her.
Yeah, I feel bad because a lot of it's just cope, but not too bad.
Well, I mean, everyone else liked anyone that wasn't her too. So.
Also, N is a good Pokemon rival. Even though there's a lot of Pokemon rivals, I would put as the best rival on there. N is one of them. And yet Lily just seems to think of him as this Chad dude bro that just likes to do a lot. But just I don't remember what she said actually, but she just really hates N for some reason as well.
You know what's interesting is that so I do know who you're talking about, like N Harmonia from like Pokemon Black and White, right?
Yeah, that is by the way, just we are getting off topic a little bit. Like we're not here to
talk about I'm sorry.
I am
Goodbye, go ahead.
Yeah, I will kind of tie this back in though. So what's interesting about it is actually, like, N's whole story arc is about being in a cult, essentially. He's
Right.
used as a figurehead by Team Plasma. He's taught a bunch of things about how, like, Pokemon battles are abusive, even though systemically and in the canon they're, like, supposed to help people, yada yada yada. And he goes through this whole character arc where he realizes how he was being used by Team Plasma and by Getsus. So it does kind of strike me as odd that seems to have gone over her head.
Lily doesn't like anyone that grows from their trauma.
Huh.
Makes her feel like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question about the Gardevoir, she was so obsessed with Gardevoir because Gardevoir was like, when Gardevoir came out, it was like really the first kind of like more human-esque Pokemon, like of the humanoid kind of Pokemons. Gardevoir really was up among the first.
Right.
And also that's like kind of when Pokeporn as a thing itself really took off, especially because of the more anthropomorphic looking Pokemon that came out. So honestly, it was just of the fact that it looks like a girl, and she found porn of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, thanks for answering my question, guys. Sorry if it got off topic. I apologize for that. But
It's okay.
thanks for answering my questions.
Yeah, okay. I will move you back to audience. Okay, so I think we're good on questions for the cult part, so I guess we can go to the reaction video, which I didn't watch because I don't need that. I watched a little bit of it, but you know, I don't need her calling me names and being dumb. So I'm gonna leave that to Brittany and Courtney as far as just things that were factually wrong in that, how she kind of twists the narrative. Because I mean, Malcolm made a really good point in his video about how she kind of twisted like what was being said in my video to kind of be a little slightly different to what was going on. It's something that you wouldn't notice unless you watch the videos back to back. But anyway, I will leave you guys to it.
Oh God, where do we even start? Well, I think the best part, because I watched the video on stream with Malcolm, and I think the best part is when she's talking about Essence of Thought, she's got timestamps saying that Essence of Thought said this and that and the other thing. If you go to the timestamps, she doesn't say any of that. Like, Lily puts up her own fucking debunked evidence right on screen.
Yeah, she does that on purpose too. Lily has never accurately conveyed what is actually being said about her to her audience. And she's relying on them.
Explain it.
Yeah, she's relying on them to just take her word and not go fact check it themselves. So she's done this for so long and gotten away with it that she knows that she can just say whatever the hell and twist it however she wants, and her audience will believe it.
Yeah, the sycophants just lap it the fuck up. That's why they all think I legally changed my name to Orchard when I didn't. That's why they think Orchard is Lily's name and not Lizzie's. And that's why they all seem to think that what I accused Cameron of is what I accused Lily of, which is not true.
And also why they think none of my chat logs have timestamps, when some
They
of
all
them
do.
Yeah, the ones from the Terra Cali account that came from Facebook Messenger don't, because that's just how Facebook Messenger formatting is. And
yeah, you gotta click on the message to see the time.
Yeah, and I have never claimed that set can stand on its own. It's meant to be seen in the context of everything else. The logs between me and Lily directly that came from Skype do have her name and do have timestamps clearly visible, but the one example that she showed out of those logs, she cropped to where you can't see her name or the timestamps, and she intentionally left those links out of her video description, but she put the Terra logs in there. So I've had people, ever since that video came out, coming to me accusing me of not having any names or timestamps on my chats, and I'm trying to tell them, look, the Skype ones do. She cropped them. You just have to go and look at them. And they just don't. It's like, she's got them so conditioned where if you say anything that contradicts her narrative, they don't absorb it. It goes right over their head, and they don't go fact check it.
Not to mention, she bounces between saying, when you're talking to Tara, that's either a friend of Lily's who makes up random shit, or it's you talking to yourself. And she says, like, both of those things. So it's like, okay, is Tara your friend, or is Tara Brit? Or, like, Hail Britannia, I get it, but Lily, you lost your own plot.
Or Allison. That, God. Yeah,
Tara's rename.
Yeah, briefly she started referring to Tara as Allison publicly because she was hoping people wouldn't Google or search Tara Callie. And then she went back to just calling her Tara again. So it's like, that's been one of the most hair-pullingly frustrating parts about all of this, is that I expect being accused of everything under the sun by Lily. It's people that follow her accusing both of us of being inconsistent in our stories when we haven't been. And anytime we can show evidence to back up what we're saying, we do. Meanwhile, Lily's stories change by the month sometimes.
They change by the second. She fucking, at some point in her video, she flat out says that I've accused my father of sexually abusing me. I've never accused my father of sexually abusing me, because my father didn't sexually abuse me.
Mm-hmm.
She's even like, at one point in the video, she's like, sure, Court, you were passed around like a piñata. Like...
I mean, and that's what we're trying to do in the fan server, too. Like, if you're on the fence... I mean, I don't think people listening to her are on the fence, but if you're on the fence, I mean, like, we made a separate section for people who are, like, breaking off or learning about Lily evidence to go ask questions, and Brittany's in there and Courtney's in there. And, like, you know, I get it, it's hard, and, like, if you have to sit in a call with someone and just, like, help me understand this, but, like, for the people who are just going to bitch and moan on YouTube comments, but they're not going to take the time to reach out and really hear the other side, then, like, what's the point, you know? So...
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the Lily critical blogs on Tumblr, that's part of what we're there for, is we act as a support group because we're all former friends and former fans and used to be former partners, but a lot of people have moved on, understandably so. But, like, I am completely open if anyone wants to DM me or send me an ask or contact me on Tumblr and ask to see what I have and come to their own conclusions. It's when I get people just coming at me, accusing me of being a liar, accusing me of being abusive to Lily, accusing me of this, that, and the other, just parroting everything Lily has said about me. Like, I'm willing to talk to you, but if you're going to attack me and come to the defense of someone that I have personally witnessed be extremely abusive, and I've witnessed her groom people. She's been abusive toward me, she's been abusive toward Courtney, she's been abusive toward Lizzie, Michaela, you name it, anyone, just about anyone that she has been close to, she has been absolutely nasty toward. So it's hard for me to keep my cool, especially since I've been watching this for so long, when someone just comes at me and tries to attack me and defend her and isn't willing to just have a civil conversation about it.
I think people are also
the sticker fans are infuriating. Sorry.
I was going to say, I think also people are afraid of being wrong. Is a big part of it.
For sure. They're afraid of...
Oh, yeah.
I know they're afraid of being wrong because the implications of just how extreme this is like, it would hit anyone hard. It hit me hard. And I know on some level they're afraid of Lily. And that's something that I just want to put out there. Are you more afraid of being wrong, or are you more afraid of what Lily is going to do or say to you if you are? Because if it's the latter, that's some serious red flaggy behavior for abuse.
Hmm.
Anything else?
Yeah, 100%.
I was going to say, anything else you guys wanted to add before we take questions about the response video?
Oh, yeah, I'm just stating this, like, publicly and firmly. I did not rape Lily.
I mean, like, that was something that, like, didn't really make sense to me, is, like, you know, Lily was masked back in the day, and, you know, men are usually physically stronger than women, so I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but, like, especially because they're your older sibling, Courtney, it doesn't make a lot of logical sense either. So.
And Lily loved to scream and yell and throw a fucking shit fit and, like, destroy rooms and threaten to scream and kill, like, threaten to kill us all in her sleep. So, like, I'm sorry, Lily, if you're gonna use the excuse of there's no way that I did that in her sleep without her waking up, and then sit there and be like, oh, so I just laid there and took it. Like, bullshit. Bullshit, Lily. Bullshit. Also, you said I fucking threatened to tell Dad that you raped me if you resisted. Okay, but, one, I didn't rape you, and two, I did tell Dad that I thought you were raping me in my sleep. So, what?
I like his response was just, go get therapy, Lily. I'll pay for it.
Which,
yeah, well, that's...
which
Daddy will pay
ended
for everything.
Yeah, and she ended up telling on herself with that because she's been claiming for years that she had a therapist, and she used to use that as a way to kind of manipulate the narrative and be like, oh, well, my therapist said this and that, and it was always things that no therapist worth their salt would ever tell someone to do. So by her admitting on a stream that y'all's dad offered to pay for her to go to therapy, she just admitted she doesn't have one and never has.
No, she only goes to, like, once every couple of months, a fucking psych appointment in order to keep her disability.
Yeah, and a psychiatrist is different than a psychologist.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we move on, Courtney, can you break down why Lily and Michaela are probably not going to be living together anytime soon because of Canadian law stuff?
Oh, yeah. So Lily is more than likely in subsidized housing. And the reason I say that, despite her adamant denial that she isn't, is she says she lives comfortably in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia has, like, the highest taxes in Canada, like, the highest cost of living and the lowest minimum wage. Even if she is pulling, like, $30,000 a year on Patreon, she's losing over half of that to taxes. So she's walking away with, if she's lucky, $10,000 a year. Now, to live comfortably, paying the kind of rent that is here with no rent control on $10,000 a year, you have to live in subsidized housing. Now, to live in subsidized housing, you have to make under a certain amount of money. If Michaela comes into this country, as soon as she enters this country, her and Lily, and starts living with Lily, her and Lily become a single income. Once they become a single income, that affects Lily's eligibility for disability and therefore subsidized housing. So they're never going to live together. And if Michaela ever comes to Canada, Lily's going to make her get her own place and get her own job and be able to secure the kind of living that Lily's been comfortable in before she ever leaves her subsidized housing. Not to mention the only pictures that she's ever posted, like, publicly online of her outside surroundings is right, the view of the harbor that she posted is right outside a subsidized housing block.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was a big lie thread about, like, how it doesn't seem possible that, you know, someone who's been married for 3 years, like, is, you know, I think there's some kind of thing where, like, married couples can live together when one of them is waiting for citizenship anyway. So, yeah, it doesn't make really sense.
Oh, yeah, no. Rachel knows about this, and so I'm not going to name him because I don't think he'd be comfortable, but I am currently dating somebody who used to work on the team with me, and we do eventually plan to get married. The amount of work that we have to do in order to make that happen with the international law, we're going to be stuck for some time, and we're both actively trying, so...
Just call him 90 Day Fiancé.
That's fair. Okay, does anyone else have any questions before we move on from this section? Either in Twitch chat or in here, just request to speak. I'll give you guys a couple minutes. I'll check Twitch. And to talk about the doctor thing, one time I did ask Lily about like how do I make sure the therapist doesn't get high off influencing the influencer. And she said something about like telling them as minimal information as possible, which I get, but like that's not exactly a relationship you should have with your therapist. So
That's not how therapy works.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get better.
Yeah, but people like Lily go to therapy to learn how to be better liars, not to get better. And that's the thing. Lily's been in therapy. Like, Lily spent, like, 10 years of her life in therapy. From 7 to 17, she had psychologists, psychiatrists, fucking social workers, therapists, counselors, you name it. That girl's been learning therapy speak for over a decade.
Okay, someone wants to speak. Holy Ghost. Okay, Holy
hello.
Ghost, what's your question?
Real quick, sorry, just woke up in the middle of this. So wait, Michaela doesn't know about all this crazy stuff about Lily, or are they like purposely ignoring it? Because I mean, the internet's not really a quiet place to go around.
She's
My
ignoring
theory
it.
is, yeah, my theory is it's a bit of both. She doesn't know, and she's not willing to go find out.
And Lily's lied about a bunch. Like, Lily's apparently been telling her for a year that I raped her. Lily's apparently told Michaela all kinds of shit about Stockholm, that it's to do with her own trauma because apparently I raped her. But I also, personally, I think Michaela's complicit in a lot of it because regardless of what she knows and what she's looked at herself, Michaela made the choice to get naked with Lily on stream, knowing that Lily's fan base was largely comprised of minors at the time. And she did that twice.
I saw that the other day. I was like, wait, hold on. My brain was like, wait, which one's Lily? Because now I'm like, oh no, they both did.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's one thing if you're gonna just like, okay, I believe my wife over people on the internet, but it's another thing to be like, yeah, I'm totally gonna take off my clothes in front of minors and stand up.
Yeah, Lily has lied to her about what Lizzie did to her. She's lied to her about what I did to her. She's lied to her about Courtney. She's lied
Nice
to her
about what hospital
Stockholm.
she goes to.
Yeah, like,
Lily talks about the IWK all the time. That's the fucking children's hospital.
yeah,
If you're going to the hospital as an adult in Halifax, you're going to the Queen Elizabeth. You're not going to the IWK.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I bring it up too is because it's like they're not living. It's too easy. It's like you're not living near each other. You can use your head to like, hey, Lily Orkin and all this crazy stuff. It's like,
I'll add to this because I knew Michaela for years. I think Michaela uses her spot on like Michaela wanted to be a YouTuber. She still wants to be a YouTuber. She thinks she's a YouTuber even though she hasn't really done any of the like, you know, she become famous or has taken off or whatever. So Lily used that to her advantage to be like, oh, why don't we put your videos on my channel and why don't we have the channel be dual? So like, despite Michaela living in that disgusting apartment, she is like, well, I'm like, she uses that for her self-confidence and, well, at least I'm a YouTuber, I'm a professional YouTuber and I love my wife, and you know, so that's part of it too. So it's not just she loves Lily, she also loves the reward, quote unquote, of being a YouTuber, to have access to Lily's audience, to feel like she's getting her voice out
The
there.
social currency.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, she's, from what I've always seen, she's always like loved Lily pretty blindly, and I think Lily used what happened to me as something, as a comparison piece of like, oh, KP gets shit on, I get shit on too. And Courtney's seen a lot of the DMs between me and Michaela and me and Lily. I think she's seen all of the DMs with me and Lily, but, you know, she thinks that she got with Michaela to get to me, which, I wouldn't have gone seeking Lily out because I feel like dealing with anyone else really. But I can't neither confirm or deny that, but it makes me ick because Michaela was on my team much sooner than she was dating Lily, from what I remember. So.
Okay.
On my end, it's definitely complicated. Because on the one hand, she did participate in doing these activities that should not have been exposed to minors. On the other hand, I also left an abusive relationship, and part of being in that was that I felt obligated to do things that were against my moral code. Not to that extent. For me, it was stuff more like I was raised to put other people's needs before my own in certain stances, and to if I see a need to fulfill it. My ex did not have that mentality about life where he would kind of ignore other people's needs, even if it was something that would not have put him out. And so I kind of just followed the grain because I felt, one, out of obligation, and two, did not want to deal with the conflict. The part of me is I want to give Michaela the benefit of the doubt that she's doing this as a survival instinct. On the other hand, if she is not, then that definitely hurts.
Yeah,
because she was somebody who I considered a friend when I was working with her on the team.
At the same time, though, if your survival instinct is leading you to get naked in front of kids, that should be a fucking wake-up call to you.
Yeah, to kind of add on to that, because I've gotten a lot of questions about this on KP's video. I think Michaela is fawning, and Lily targets fawners. And what fawning is, in regards to trauma, is it's one of the lesser known big F trauma responses for complex post-traumatic stress disorder, the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And fawning is, it, in a nutshell, it is extreme people pleasing. It's a trauma response that your mind goes into in the face of a perceived or actual threat, where instead of fighting it, running away, or freezing up, you try and capitulate.
Run under Mama Dear.
You try to capitulate to it. You try to basically caretake your way out of it. And in extreme cases, which is where I think Michaela is currently at, it also consists of very heavy dissociation, where you just completely separated from your own emotional needs, your own moral code. You just you kind of just completely lose awareness of who you are, what you're doing, the implications of what you're doing, in order to try and keep yourself safe. And it's very hard to break out of, especially since it's not very well known yet. So I'm thinking that's where Michaela is at. I don't know what she's been through prior to meeting Lily, but Lily's track record has been she will specifically target people who are either very young or people who have been through very severe trauma that has left them in this fawning state, because they're less likely to stand up to her. And she knows how to push their buttons to scare them into a state where they will dissociate and just go along with whatever she wants, because they think that's keeping them safe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty oof. Someone did ask a question. Do you believe Michaela could ever get out of the situation? And after everything she did, how would you feel about her coming out as a victim of Lily? I guess I'll take that one first. I think it's going to take a lot because from my understanding, people have tried to talk to Michaela about it, but she just shuts them down and kicks them out of her life. So I don't know what point it's going to be. It might be at the point where she realizes that they're never going to live together, or if they do, it will all be on Michaela to provide for them. Then, but I think a lot of people have tried, but she just doesn't listen. So
I think on a subconscious level, Michaela is terrified because given how long she's been with Lily and just how much she has enabled and actively participated in, if she ever does fully realize the position that she's in and the kind of person Lily is, it's going to send her into a very bad place for a while. Assuming this is a situation of her being in a severe trauma response and not her just willingly going along with it.
This is the worst case scenario, right? Correct?
Yeah, worst case scenario, yeah.
Okay. Gonna sound a little, I don't know if it's mean, but I feel like something physical is gonna have to happen because
I was
don't know.
about to say that.
Yeah, because I'm like to myself, like it's gonna get to a point where it's like,
Lily's gonna put hands on her before anything happens with Michaela.
That too,
I'm not-
and oh, sorry, go on.
It's okay. Like, I'm not wishing it. I'm not hoping it. Lily's not exactly the type, but I can see at some point Michaela might finally get tired of the bullshit being not moving and being used for art, and she might try to stand up to Lily when she's on a visit, and Lily's gonna put hands on her.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because I guess I'll fly to my next dumb last question. I don't want to take up too much time. It was something I put in KP's channel with the whole realizing Lily's a bad person. Okay, so I guess if I had to say in law terms, how do you think Lily's gonna go to like court or anything for all of this crazy stuff? Because there's proof. You guys have proof. You guys done your research here. I'm just wondering, like, how in the world is it gonna work? That's the only dumb thing.
Yeah, the problem is the proof doesn't mean much if people refuse to look at it or acknowledge it.
Yeah, that's why we
And-
said...
Which is...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead. I was just going to say that's why Michaela and most of her current fan base and inner circle is still there because they just refuse to look at any of it.
Yeah, and that's why I led this with Whitney doing her cult research about, like, because that's where a lot of people are in this, where they just, like, refuse to look at stuff or refuse to believe that their cult leader is a bad person, essentially. So it's just going to take more than, haha, we have proof. And that's also why I wanted to do the stream, because we could respond to some of the points of Lily's video in a way that's not just, like, overtaking my channel. Like, I'm not interested in becoming a drama channel. So, dab. But...
Definitely. I think more to answer your question directly about the legalese. To my knowledge, from what was been informed of me, Canada doesn't have a statute of limitations when it comes to issues like these. And I have been doing some research. I don't know how to report it as a non-Canadian citizen. And I don't know if it has already been reported to the authorities, but it has. Something that it has. Okay.
Yeah, the problem is that the Canadian government doesn't pay attention to internet crimes like it should. And the problem is, I need the way to get, like, Lily charged criminally is I need to get her hard drive seized. Yep. So I need hard evidence of her sending something explicit to a minor, or sending porn to a minor, or sexting a minor. Like, that's why I was so up Ethel's ass to try and get those screenshots, because I can use that to get her hard drive seized. If I can't get her hard drive seized, my next option is to sue her. And essentially my whole family, which I will be doing. I have to get on disability myself. So I'm waiting on referrals in, like, the fucking healthcare system to get me a fucking psychologist so I can establish my BPD and my history, so that I can essentially take my whole family to court and be like, y'all did this to me, fucking pay up. And I'm not doing no fucking NDA settlements outside of court, because, bitch, I'm gonna be talking about this for a long ass time.
Okay.
And
shout out Lizzie in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, I invited her if she wants to come in and speak, so then she can. But yeah, before we move on, Brittany, can you kind of describe, like, vocally, like, what happened when you tried to do cyber security tip line thing?
So, this is how do I want to approach this? So, what led me to calling the Canadian Cyber Tip Line, which is supposed to be their division specifically for online crimes involving minors and CSIM and that sort of thing. I discovered an account that I have every reason to believe is Lily's. It's a porn account on a rather well-known website that starts with a letter and 3 numbers. If you know, you know. It was under the name Alcorative, which is the pen name of the Terra Cali sock puppet. It was started in 2017 and was active up through about 2022. And it had, like, how I ended up finding it was I had Googled Alcorative just to see if anything would come up. And I came across a comment that she had left on an image that was blacklisted. And I didn't even know that website had blacklisted content. So I looked into what would cause an image to be blacklisted there, and it was anything involving children or animals and other illegal things of that nature. So I ended up archiving the main profile and most of the favorites pages, and other people
Still there.
Yeah, other people that are braver than I am went digging through it and found the image that she had commented on, along with about 114 other images involving explicit children. So, knowing that
A lot of
Canada,
poke porn.
yeah, knowing that Canada is more strict on that kind of stuff than the US, I thought that that would be enough to at least get their attention. So I called them, and they didn't even let me get past the first, 5 minutes of the conversation. It was very obvious that the person on the other end of the line had no interest in listening to anything I had to say. They just rushed me off the phone, didn't let me send them anything, didn't let me go into detail about anything. They just weren't interested in hearing it. They heard online and YouTuber, and just their brain shut off.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that is a common issue with just the legal systems in almost every single country. Just due to the hands-off nature of the older generation when it comes to online crimes. A lot of the times I think, on some level, I think that they don't take it seriously because they don't understand fundamentally how it functions. And they don't take it all that seriously because they're like, well, it's not in real life and this person is not near you physically, but they don't understand that, this can result in doxing, this can result in people's houses getting swatted, this can result in,
this can result in them being near you physically.
Yes, it is incredibly hard to protect yourself from stuff like that. Even if you have VPNs, there's still ways to bypass. There's still these sort of, online safety things that, it's just, a whole thing. And it's very hard to explain to the older generation why they should care. And it's hard to explain sometimes to the younger generation why they should be safe, because some of them haven't grown up with that safety net. They just think that it's all fun and games.
Some of them have been groomed previously.
Yep.
We have a question from Aaron, who is not in the stream, but for Brittany and Courtney. Do you think Lily would have some narcissistic personality disorder, or do you think she might have something else, or is it more she generally is a horrible person and gets off of making people suffer? So do you think she has she has NPD, or she's sociopathic? Any
I mean, I'm not a professional, so I can't really professionally comment on that. I can just speculate, but I can say she has no remorse for anything she does. She doesn't care who she hurts. And she does get off on it. That much I can say. She is actually a sadist in the worst possible ways. And kind of tying back into how I know that, after the account that I was just talking about was discovered, it went quiet. And a few weeks later, we had over on the blog someone come to us saying that they thought they had found another set of accounts of hers on a different website that's much more... I didn't know about it. No, it wasn't. This wasn't the dark web one. This was...
No, but it's much more darknet than the rest of them are.
Yeah, very true. I didn't know about this one, but it's the people that do know about it are apparently aware of the kind of horrific things that are allowed on it. And this person was describing some of the favorites in these 3 accounts, which were Alcorative, Ibarra, which are 2 names of 2 of her sock puppets smashed together, and Spiritus Kaiem, which is a reference to one of her other fan fictions. All 3 of these accounts were identical. They had the exact same favorites, the exact same favorite tags, exact same everything.
Bro, what do you need 3 accounts for?
In case one gets discovered, so she can ditch that one and still have the others. Jesus. But this account she went even further than she did in the first one. And most of her favorites consisted of very realistic 3D rendered animations of children in absolutely horrific, unspeakable situations. And it was
a lot of those are traced, weren't they?
Do what?
A few of those artists were fucking convicted of using pictures of their own children, weren't they?
Yeah, at least one of the artists that she had favorited a lot of had been convicted and charged of using their own children as references. Those have also been archived. I'm not going to share them anywhere for obvious reasons. I haven't even personally looked through them. The most I've glanced at is a thumbnail from one of the images, and it was... When I say Lily is the poster child of an extreme case, that she is a sadist to the most nauseating degree, I wish I was making that up. I wish I could tell you that I was just making it up for clout, or making it up for attention, or making it up to get back at her, or whatever other desperate ass-covering excuse she has thrown at me. I wish I could tell you I haven't seen what I have seen, but I have, and she is dangerous. Like, she needs to be in prison. And she needs to be off the internet. Yeah, I don't want to speculate on what specifically she has downloaded, but I know I've seen the things that she has favorited. It's bad. It's real bad. And the fact that I couldn't get the Canadian cyber tip line to listen to that is extremely concerning to me.
I was going to add, Lily says her therapist...
You mean Lizzie?
Yeah, Lizzie, that's what I said. Or meant. I'm tired. Anyway, Lizzie says her therapist described her as a malignant sociopath. But that's her listening to my experiences. So, I think that's the best way to
I would consider that accurate.
I just say it flat out. Bitch has ASPD. I watched her grow up. I saw her as a kid. She has no empathy. She has no compassion. She has no sympathy. You do not exist. Nobody exists to her as people. Everyone is just a means to an end to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is how she's describing me lately. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because, Lily has always desperately wanted to be me.
And
I don't know.
Lily's... Go ahead.
Like, I don't know what she thinks my life is. Probably because of the neglect, she saw me getting what she wanted, which was to be left alone, and not seeing it as the neglect that it was. She's been jealous of me her whole life, and I don't really get it.
And her treating people like tools and not seeing people as individuals is something that I've been saying for years too, because she really doesn't.
Nope.
She doesn't.
Everybody's just a thing.
Yeah, they're toys for her to play with, they're tools for her to use. Nobody is a person to her. There is no genuine love from her. It's just, what can you do for her? And when you can no longer provide what she wants out of you, she has no problem just throwing you away without a second thought. And if you dare talk about how she treated you, she will flip everything back on you to cover her
Now
ass.
you're a
And
rapist.
yeah, she'll flip everything back on you to cover her ass and keep her audience believing her, because she knows a victim narrative works.
Mhm.
And that's another question I want to ask anyone who might be in her camp that's watching. What is more likely out of these two scenarios? Lily has been horrifically abused by every single person that she has had a close relationship with. And we're all of us who never knew each other prior to her are all lying in the exact same way and describing the exact same experiences, and we're all making it up. Or she's been the common denominator and she is showing a pattern of behavior and a pattern of abuse through multiple different people.
Lily, if everywhere you go smells like shit, check your shoe, honey.
Okay, we have a question. So let me move you back to audience. Okay. Okay, Fennec, what's your question?
All right. I will say I don't think we should be, at the very least, publicly speculating about Lily's whether Lily has some kind of personality disorder, because I think that for one thing, armchair diagnosing is kind of dangerous, and it can be rather demonizing to people who need help. Not saying that Lily doesn't need help, but I also just think the optics of doing that is something that she leans pretty heavily on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I
get that, but like, I hate to be this bitch, but it's kind of different in my case, where like I literally watched her grow up, I watched her behavior change, I watched all these things develop. It's not, in my case, like I was in her therapy sessions and like talking to the doctors with her and shit. Like I know a lot more than somebody just watching videos and like armchair diagnosing. Like, I'm not sitting here diagnosing her because I'm clearly not qualified to. I'm not a doctor, but like the signs were always there, like since childhood, and I will honestly say that with my whole chest.
I definitely don't disagree with that assessment, but I think that describing it as antisocial behavior or antisocial traits would be better.
Mhm.
Fair.
That's really all I had to say. Thank you.
I got that.
No, you're good. I definitely get where you're coming from, because I have been armchair diagnosed by multiple people, and it's like I'm seeing my own person. But thank you for your input.
Oh, I love how I'm clearly mentally ill, but I'm also faking my BPD at the same time.
Okay, Kieran has a question. Try to keep it questions instead of statements, but Fennec had a good question, or a good statement, so. Okay, Kieran, you're up.
Yes, it is a question. So I've noticed every time Lily's native heritage has been brought up, she always tries to deflect it by bringing up her grandfather. So this is a question more towards Courtney. What's up with that? Because I have not So I did look up the page. So, like,
Okay. So Hank, who is our maternal grandfather, okay, growing up there was always whisperings that Hank was some sort of native. Nobody really knew what. It was just like his mother was like half native or something. Nothing was registered. No traditions were carried on. We didn't even know anything. Like someone thought it was Cherokee. So his oldest daughter decided to dive headfirst in the community and found out that he does have ancestral ties to 3 different tribes. I can't even pronounce it properly, but it's like it's a subset of Iroquois, and then Sauk, and then Fox, and those are the 3 different tribes that his heritage comes from. So with the Iroquois not exactly having many ancestors around, they are closely related to Cherokee. So a lot of Iroquois people rely on Cherokee traditions because they can't find Iroquois ones, and they are so closely related. So Hank has been inappropriately ID'd by like people reporting on it as Cherokee because they don't do the bother like doing the homework to find out that he was actually Iroquois Sauk Fox. I found that out simply by messaging his daughter and being like, hey, what was his heritage? And she's like claimed by the nation and like highly respected and knows her shit. So like Lily's not native in the sense that we didn't grow up native, and she's not properly trying to reconnect, because to properly try and reconnect with her grandfather's heritage would be to go through his daughter, who will not speak to her, who wants, and I quote, nothing to do with my mother's other child.
All right.
That's something I've kind of found morbidly amusing about the whole thing, because Lily's whole deflection about that was, well, I have this one article. Meanwhile, you're over here like, okay, but I have my aunt,
elder.
Yeah, your elder, who is claimed by a nation and well respected, in your phone that you can just call up and ask.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like Cameron and Lily, now that they're fucking tag teaming it on YouTube, they want to try and say that I'm estranged from the entire family. I'm not. I talk to them all on a fairly regular basis, actually. They're just they just respect my request that my immediate family not know that they talk to me. So they tell them they haven't talked to me in years. Meanwhile, they've talked to me last week.
And I can confirm I have seen the text messages, or some of the text messages between you and your aunt. So that is a real thing. You're not just making that up. I'm vouching for that.
Nope. Lily fucking doxed her.
You.
Okay, back to questions, because I think we're just in the regular Q&A part at this point. Does anyone else have any questions? Oh, bye, Kieran. Please request to speak. That's the easiest one, so I don't have to go checking 3 different places for questions. So we have 15 people in the chat. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. So this is for Courtney. Do you think it would be possible someday to have one of your family members on call to talk about your experiences with Lily, or would it be going too far? Sorry, how I phrased it.
Well, see, not all of the family knows everything. Like, and my aunt Tanya, she, like, oh shit. My aunt, she's actually a trauma counselor herself. So she's actually flat out requested that I don't tell her anything in regards to my trauma, because she deals with so much of it all day that she just can't when she comes home. So out of respect for that, I've never told her. I don't know if I ever really would, to be honest. Like, I'm not super big on, like, getting the extended family involved in this. As opposed to Lily, who just wants to name drop everybody who doesn't talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, I get that. It can.
I would think that would be a lot to drop on your family.
Yeah, and like the family never really was super close to begin with. So like even if I do tell them, it's just sort of like, oh well, I'm really sorry that happened, and then on to regular conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got more
Yeah, I
questions.
can.
Oh, go ahead, Whitney.
Just kind of yes-anding that it can get very messy and very complicated. So I completely get that. Yeah.
Okay, we got some questions in this Discord chat. Is claiming status in a tribe a violation of any laws or statuses if you're not a family member or if you're not a member? So Courtney, I guess.
I mean, no. It's not illegal to sit there and say you're native if you're not native. But I mean, if you go to the wrong areas and start running your mouth, you will get your ass beat. Like if Lily were to go down to the reservation and talk the way she fucking talks, she'd get her ass handed to her in an instant.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, Lily strikes me as someone who talks a big talk, but like when push comes to shove, when it's actual confrontation time, then she runs and hides and like, oh, it wasn't me, it was always the other person.
Yeah.
So, you know, seeing her get arrested would be funny, but maybe someday. Okay, Hella has a question. Do you think that you guys could make a long video about what Lily did in just one spot, or would that whole story, or so that the whole story with every victim who wants to speak could be heard, and so Lily has nowhere to hide anywhere? So I guess that would require getting Lizzie involved and some other people. I mean, I can't host it, but I guess it's possible. It's just a matter of if who wants to do that, and
I mean, I'm sort of working on it.
yeah.
I was gonna do like a series of videos, but then I started the script and it's just too hard to find a spot that's like to stop. So I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be like 1 3-hour long video. And then like I've already asked Britt and KP that they've allowed me to use the audio of Brittany's interview with KP in the video. I'm gonna have Patch's audio in there. And then I was gonna read out Lizzie's twit longer so that like everybody's stories were in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I need to go through and see if I can get everything from back in the day up to now in one big organized Google Doc. Because there's a few of them floating around, so it's a little bit disjointed. Because every time we update the docket, so to speak, she pulls more shit. So a lot of it is a little bit outdated, and it's missing a lot of more current contexts.
That and she got her Tumblr nuked.
Yeah.
Tumblr's where a lot of this happened too. Because that's the thing, Lily hit a lot of this on Tumblr because nobody was paying attention.
Yep, and that's also why she didn't link her Tumblr in her YouTube video descriptions.
Okay. I discovered Lily like 3 months ago, and lawyer. Okay, cool. That's not a question. I'm just making sure. Okay. I have 2 things to add real quick. I guess before we double check if there's any more questions. The first thing was verbally explain what happened with the Poppy Xena people, because we released a safety report about kind of what happened, and Brittany and Courtney were witnesses to that, so for me to kind of verbally explain it. Because my original plan was to have Courtney and Michaela talk, or at least attempt it, so I could help Michaela either get out or have someone that she trusted going with this stuff. I don't know if she would have listened to me, but that was like the intention. So the YouTubers that hosted Courtney's original testimony were Poppy and Xena. That's how I found it. I got not screamed at, but I got screamed at in Senate about, like, I said I was talking to Lily, and people were like, do you know what Lily did? I'm like, no, what? So, that's how I found it. And then, essentially, Poppy really wanted me to make a video statement as soon as possible. She was also mad that I went in her server and then I immediately went in Courtney's server to talk about stuff, even though Courtney's server is much smaller than hers, which kind of isn't her place to dictate where I talk. And
Oh, but KP, you agreed to lay low in her server, so that meant everywhere for the rest of time.
I mean, I think what the reality is, she just, like, she was getting, some of her, she's a poly person, and so a lot of her ex-partners were coming out and saying, she's bad, she abused her child, you know, if you don't care who Poppy and Xena is, that's probably for the best. But, essentially, so that was when, like, I think Courtney was shown, like, the first doc of that, like, when it was coming out. So I think she was thinking, oh, this will be the new big thing to milk this YouTuber for her testimony. And I basically, she started pressuring me, and she's like, when are you going to get on? And just like, I haven't even gone through all the evidence. I haven't seen the patch video yet. I haven't, like, I'm just basically talking to Courtney and kind of getting the lowdown on everything. But also Poppy was really mad that I wasn't the one talking to her. It was me going to Courtney, because she shared my logs with Courtney without asking me, and that pissed me off. So I'm just like, okay, we're done. So,
well, she even flat out admitted to me that she was just straight up jealous that you were in my server and not hers.
Yeah, I mean, like, when she doubled down, she's just like, why can't you just be in my server? And I'm just like, I'll just leave this server. Like, I don't need to fucking be here, you know. I'm getting all my information from Courtney. You have access to Courtney. Like, what's the big fucking deal? But she was like, that's one of the DMs that she's just like, I'm feeling FOMO, guys. And I'm just like, my relationship with Lily isn't really a FOMO kind of case. It's a very, like, you know, it sucks, but, like, I think I got, like, the tail end of it, essentially, and, like, once I saw evidence, I'm like, oh, fuck no, which I don't think anyone else is doing or was doing or whatever. But yeah, and then she got mad, essentially, and Brittany yelled at her, in DMs because Poppy was rushing things.
Oh no, that was, if I can clarify real quick, that was in the mod chat of Courtney's server before Poppy got kicked out.
Okay.
Because she started griping and just downplaying everything that you were currently dealing with, and talking about, like,
security issues.
Yeah, I called her out.
And there were security issues. Sorry.
I'd called her out for pressuring you, and was just like, look, she just found out someone that she considered a friend and someone that she worked with is this bad. She's still emotionally processing. She's still looking through everything. She's trying to deal with the logistics of having an overlapping community with her. Like, this is not something that you just find out and then immediately go public with. And she started coming back with, oh, well, this, basically saying that your emotional situation was quote unquote nothing materially, and all this other nasty shit, which, yeah, I did end up yelling at her for, because don't it takes a lot.
She was going off at, like, oh yeah, fuck KP, she platformed a predator, was basically the attitude she was coming in with.
And KP
yeah,
and
like yeah, and like it takes a lot to genuinely make me go off, but don't victim blame to me, especially about someone else, because I will bite your head off for that. And
she's also in my DMs, just, like, literally just crying and whining about, why is everyone in your server?
Because
like, she literally hit me up with, like, why is everyone in your server? I'm like, what? What do you mean everyone? I have a server full of 50 people. What are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know the voice chat was happening, and then she's, like, trying to scream at me over it, and I'm like, bro, can you, like, if you want to know what's going on, join the fucking voice call.
Yeah, all these DMs are in the safety report if anyone is curious. But, yeah, so, and then I think it ended with Poppy. So I told Poppy to, like, stop, and she tried to get me in a group call with Xena or something, or a group text chat. And I was like, hey, I didn't consent for someone else to be here. And she's like, well, this is my partner. And I'm just like, that's great. No offense, but I didn't consent to this. And she's just like, And like she's
Your
like,
consent doesn't matter.
yeah, it's like, why are you being rude to my partner? And I'm just like, I'm kind of done. I'm gonna make my own video. Like, you know, like, fuck off.
Bye.
And then she made a tweet about it, where she's just like, hey, P didn't do her moral obligation. But in reality, it was like, hey, thanks for the information, fam. I'm gonna make my own video, but I have to try to handle this correctly. And yeah, and once the tweet happened, I was like, oh fuck, I don't have time to get to Michaela because this might get to Lily faster. So that's why the confrontation call was only Lily. And then I tried to talk to Sketchy, which again I would have done before I talked to Lily, but so the wells weren't poisoned or whatever. But she told him like immediately, I assume, once I confronted her, and Sketchy didn't want to hear it. And I think it's ironic because in her video she shows Sketchy kind of like explaining his confrontation, like why can't KP just leave me alone kind of thing. And I'm just like, well, that confirms he was lying because he said he didn't discuss it with anyone else, but he did, you know, so like fuck off.
So you can talk about KP when she's not there, but not Lily when she's not there?
Pick a lane. So, you know, but I think Sketchy is just not a confrontational person, so, you know, and he's deep in the sauce, so it's going to take a lot for him to get out, as well as everyone else. But I'm glad I was so easy to get out. I just like, show me evidence. Okay, bye. And then Poppy did a live stream about Courtney and I, where she victim blamed Courtney. Do you want to talk about the nudes, Courtney?
Oh god, yeah. So Poppy had a problem with me and started talking, saying that I was apparently threatening to dox her. What had actually happened was Poppy had manipulated a nude out of me, and when she tried to like take over my server essentially shortly after the KP fallout, we cut ties, like we stopped being friends, whatever. And she started telling everybody and their dog about the fact that she had a nude of me, which got back to me. So I told her to basically stop or I'd come beat her fucking ass. And that's when she decided to say that I was going to dox her, and I'm an abusive person that's done things akin to what Lily did to me by threatening to beat her ass because she was violating consent over nude pictures of me.
But also censoring everything where she's like, hey Poppy, you violated my consent.
Oh yeah, I was like, so I sent her DMs and I'm like, you're just sharing with your mods that you have my nudes. Do you have any idea how violating of consent that is? Like, how vile are you in reality, Jessica? So, and Jessica's not her dead name, by the way, which she tried to say I dead named her. I didn't. I called her Jessica. And so she posted that message on Twitter, except she censored out the words shared with your mods that you had my nudes and violating of consent and the word Jessica. And then said I dead named her. I'm pretty sure I responded to that by just posting the unedited fucking DM. And I was like, no, here's what I said.
Mm-hmm. And then she was going to make a big public stink about it because she can't milk you for more content anymore. So.
Yeah, but then I warned her to keep my name out of her fucking mouth, so she sent Sage after me.
And lest we forget the infamous lick screenshots.
Oh, you want to talk about the lick screenshots?
Oh, God.
I showed you my lick. Please respond.
Yeah, so, a bit of backstory. This is actually not Poppy's first foray into the whole Lily critical space. My first run-in with her...
She's a Lily fan.
Yeah, well,
she was a Lily fan until Lily blocked her on Twitter.
Yeah, she used to be a Lily fan, but my first run-in with her was a few years ago when she had her now former mod reach out to me on her behalf about everything that was going on with Lily. And she had a group chat that consisted of me, Lizzie, Cypher, and I don't think Patch was in there, but don't quote me on that. I honestly can't remember. I'm pretty sure Patch said that he didn't really want to be involved in it. But it was basically a group of former partners and former friends. And something that Poppy and I would argue about near constantly was she refused to let me call Lily a PDF file or a groomer. Like, I couldn't understand why, but she would just argue with me about that constantly, telling me, oh, I'm not using the right word. Oh, that's not how grooming works. Oh, this, that, and the other. And for a while, we eventually got into it so bad that I was just like, F this, and left the group chat, and that was it. And later, when all this stuff was going on with Courtney's server, I found out that because at the time I thought she just hadn't read any of the evidence herself, because I was under the impression that because of the very heavy, sensitive nature of it, that she'd had someone else go through it and kind of, fill her in. But I ended up finding out that she had read all of my docs and had acknowledged to the former mod before he reached out to me that Lily was dangerous. So she was fully aware of everything. She was fully aware that Lily was a danger to her audience, a danger to minors, and was grooming her audience. And yet she still would privately argue with me about it, and ended up defending Lily in public on numerous occasions from people calling her a groomer. And given everything that's come out about Poppy over this recent year, I can see why. Because she would have been implicating herself.
Yeah, Poppy grooms her audience too.
Yeah, she just technically waits till they're 18, but like from what I understand, they have people come to their server, and then if Poppy likes them or they're female, I guess, then she'll flirt with them. So
and then you get invited into her furry fucking porn chat server.
Yeah, she
which is nothing but her and a bunch of Discord kittens sexting constantly.
That includes minors. She doesn't keep any of that separate from the minors in her audience. But yeah,
no, this is a whole other server.
Yeah, point being though, Poppy has fully taken advantage of all of us more than once, just because she wanted the drama views. She didn't actually care about any of us. She didn't care about the danger of the situation. She just wanted the drama views, but she didn't want to go deep enough to where it might get Lily deplatformed and she'd end up losing the drama views, and she didn't want to end up implicating herself. Because if she was honest and pointed out that what Lily has done is dangerous, then she would basically be admitting that the thing she is doing is also just as dangerous.
Lizzie in chat says Poppy flirted with her too.
Oh god, Lizzie, I'm
Poor
sorry.
thing. Oh my gosh.
But no, the lick screenshots.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's technically my fault, Britt. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't know. I tried to give her another shot. I didn't think she was that bad. But yeah.
I talked you into it.
Poppy. I tried to give Poppy a second shot when all this was going on. And she immediately started very heavily trying to flirt with me. And at one point, I told her straight up, like, I don't really know how I feel about this. You're a content creator with a decent-sized audience, and we're both involved in some pretty messy drama. I don't really know you like that, blah, blah, blah. And she just would not let it go. Like, anytime I would try to talk to her about anything, she would immediately try to make it sexual and start coming on to me. Even after I told her I was uncomfortable with it. And eventually I got to the point where I stopped responding to her. And she just kept DMing me. And at
she was
one
like,
point,
asterisk lick. Why won't you respond?
She role-played a lick at me when I hadn't been responding. And I was just like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
She hasn't texted you in 3 days, bro. Send her the lick. That's the move. Fucking game of a moldy soap dish.
If I lick her, she'll definitely want to fuck me.
It's like Andy Dick mentality right there.
Yeah, and then she went Then she went and told her server that I had reciprocated her flirting.
No,
And then
you didn't.
turned around. Yeah, and then turned around and was trying to say that I found her creepy and she was sexually harassing me. When I very clearly did not.
She fucking showed me those DMs, and I was like, Poppy, you see how she's uncomfortable, right? And you're pushing it? That's, like, not cool of you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
Eventually, you have to learn how to like read the room and leave people alone.
Okay, Venus has a question. So inviting her in.
Hey guys!
Hola.
Hola! Oh my gosh. Dang it, I forgot my question was, but I will say, like, I can relate, like, some of, I can confirm some of the stuff that happened regarding Poppy. I mean, I haven't seen the flirting with Courtney in DMs. Probably because she knew if I saw that in our group chat, I'd probably call her out, telling her that, hey, the lady's taken.
Oh yeah, no, she made like 4 different group chats. Like, she would make a group chat, or she would DM me and then add Xena to it, because Xena would get mad that that they weren't being involved, and then Xena wouldn't say anything, and then Poppy would start DMing me again, and then Xena would get mad, so Poppy would start another new group chat, and then Poppy would DM me again, and then it was a circle of that. Xena was like, I want to be included, and I'd specifically be like, how was your day, Xena? And they would not respond.
Just like Poppy, like, trying to control how fast we would send each other messages, because Xena wants to catch up on the messages too. Don't do it too fast.
Vanagor and Courtney, don't message so much. Xena has the migraine and can't catch up. The fuck?
Catch up. Tomato sauce.
She can turn off notifications and read them later.
But it'll take too long!
Hashtag ZZ erasure.
Yeah, I kept on saying, like, as things were unfolding, I was just like, these people are, like, Poppy's like 40. She's acting like a fucking teenager.
She's like 42.
Oh, that doesn't help.
She is. She's like 10 years older than me and Courtney, and she's acting like that.
Yeah, and she also tried to tell me that my relationship was predatory because my boyfriend's older than her. I'm like, then why were you hitting on me?
Also, you're 30. Like, who cares?
Oh, well, she was trying to fucking break us up, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I remember when you were talking about a fight that you two had. Poppy was saying, I think that's a sign that he might be abusive.
Oh, she's like, you're stuck in the cycle of abuse. I'm like, bitch, what are you talking about? This is the first fight we've ever had in like 6 years. I know what the cycle of abuse is. I was married to a fucking alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And then I lost my mind after that day, because I'm like, you heard one fight. You can't tell me I'm in a fucking cycle. You ain't been around long enough to know if it's a cycle.
Yeah, she was just pulling that isolating thing on you that she does with every other person that she tries to get with.
Mm-hmm. Just pulling the same tactics that... I wouldn't say the same tactics that Lily does, but very similar.
Yeah, Poppy's like Lily 5.0. Or 0.5, sorry.
Diet Lily.
0.5.
Yeah, well, because she's older, so, like, she technically came first, but, I mean, they're basically the same person, just different fonts.
She's Lily's alpha version.
She's the beta test. There ain't no alpha in that bitch.
She's the alpha female, as in, alpha programming, like, not ready to be brought to the public.
Yeah. You ain't even selling that for full price on Steam, buddy.
Nope.
Okay, I think we're close to wrapping. Does anyone else have any... I'm gonna move you, Venus, to the audience again.
Alright.
Bye.
I cut her off. Does anyone else have any other questions? I'll give you guys a couple minutes, but the easiest way is to raise your hand in the stage, so I don't have to read things.
I just want to
We'll make the
shout
girl do
out.
work.
I just want to shout out this comment someone made in Twitch chat. You're trapped in a cycle of abuse. No, I'm not. Oh, would you like to be?
Oh no!
No thanks, I don't want my ex-husband back. I don't need to buy my old shit from a garage sale, I'm good.
Now you gotta do the eyebrows. Would you like to be?
Eyebrows.
Okay, Coolly Ghost has another question. Does anyone who hasn't have a question have a question? So we got a couple new people in here, so just making sure.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Just to answer Lizzie's remark real quick. No. None of us that knew Lily believed anything she said about you. Like, her stories about you changed so much that it was obvious. It was just her smearing.
I've seen the tweets you tweeted at my mother.
You as in Lizzie, not you. Or Lily, not you, Lizzie.
Sorry. Yeah, I meant you, Lizzie. I've seen the tweets you tweeted at my mother. Like, no, if anything of what she said was true, those tweets would not have existed.
Mm-hmm. When I was younger,
go ahead,
when I was younger, I did, but now that I'm older and if I also had like context of seeing all of this kind of in front of me, I don't give it much credence.
I'm pretty sure everyone raised their eyebrows when Lily was like, Lizzie raped me, so I'm going to keep her last name and give it to my wife.
No, my favorite story that she told me is that you beat her with a dining chair, and I'm just like, that's so specific. And that's
the leg of a dining chair.
Yeah, you like just ripped off the leg of a dining chair and beat her leg with it for some reason, which
one of us would blame you
was
for.
Like morbidly funny to me because that's a recycled story from like years ago. Because she told me when we were quote unquote friends that she had another ex from when she was a teenager that caused her to have a limp in her leg from being stabbed. And it was either stabbed.
It's gonna be me now.
Yeah, she is. Like all the things that she is claiming is okay. This is something I wanted to bring up actually because it is just, pardon my French, batshit. Nobody in their right mind would ever compare an abusive family member to an ex. That is not something that a well-adjusted person does. That's not something I have ever heard in my 31 years of existence. That is weird, and I can confirm that nothing that she is saying is now attributed to Courtney was, because it doesn't make any sense. Because she used to talk to me about these alleged ex-girlfriends of hers. And the ones that she claimed had physically attacked her in some way were out of her life at the same time Courtney was still living in the house.
They were never in her life to begin with.
Yeah, and one of those ex-girlfriends that she is told made-up stories about was Tara, who never existed in the first place. So the fact that she is now trying to say that, oh, anytime I have referenced an abusive ex-girlfriend from my past, it was Courtney. Not only is that an incredibly terrible lie, it's also just, it's mind-blowingly weird to be telling
why are you making those loops in your head, honey? Like, why are you making that connection?
Yeah, it is incredibly weird for anyone to claim an abusive family member was their ex. That is
unless
bizarre.
They were actually Stockholmed into it.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Okay, let me check if you have any more questions. Oh, we have a hand. Okay, cool. Ghost again. Okay, what's your question?
Okay, probably one's a dumb one. Has anybody actually, like, I guess, I don't know, had like a co-op conversation with Lily? Because I noticed it's like anytime somebody's having a conversation with it, it's just only one-on-one. It's never like multiple people. kind of noticed this, to, I guess, break the BS with them, or call out on, like, wait, you're lying.
No, Lily always has people in, like, one or, like, very small groups so that she can control the narrative.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can kind of speak on that from back in the Valkyrie Studios days. Because back in the day, there was me, Blake Diamond, Nintendo Gal, and Lily Sock Puppet. But she talked about us as if we were some collective studio or whatever, but she never let us, like, talk to each other in private or talk to each other in group chats unless she was there to control the conversation. And
Yeah.
she would shit talk us in private to each other to discourage us from wanting to talk to each other without her present. So, like, she was telling me a bunch of BS about Blake to kind of put me off of him. She was telling Blake a bunch of BS about me, and I'm sure telling Cassie a bunch of BS about me and this and that. Like, she doesn't like people talking amongst themselves unless she's there to control it. Because then people might start talking and comparing notes.
It's kind of like when, like, your employer tries to say you can't talk about your wages at work because then people are going to know that I'm paying you unfairly. That's sort of what Lily does. Like, she doesn't let people talk too long by themselves. Like, currently she's bitching and she's got people bitching and moaning for her in her own Discord server that nobody talks to her enough and nobody makes the effort to talk to her, and that she feels like they're all going off to make their own splinter cell groups, and now Lily doesn't feel welcome in her own space.
What the?
Yeah, you can drop that screenshot in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, that happened a while ago, actually. Like, she was...
Happens a lot.
Yeah, she was having Michaela on her behalf, like, try and encourage people in the Discord to talk to her more.
Oh no, it's happening again.
Oh god.
Yep. There's someone who came in and they're like, listen guys, you don't make enough of an effort to talk to Lily. We need to make her feel consistently welcome in our social circle.
Well, maybe Lily needs to be more consistent on being approachable and not just snapping at people at the drop of a hat. And Lizzie's in Twitch chat confirming that Lily did the same thing between her and Patch. So, this is something she's still doing. And this is another thing I wanted to point out. People keep asking me, oh, why are you bringing up stuff from 7 years ago? Why are you still bringing up Stockholm? Why this or that? It's because she's still doing it. So it's still relevant because it is a current, ongoing pattern of behavior. If she wasn't still doing it, then none of that would be relevant. But because she still is, things that happened 7 years ago are relevant to what she's doing now because it's the same behavior. And it establishes a pattern. She hasn't changed.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like, if Lily was honest to me about the fan fiction, I would have treated her slightly differently. But her just to, like, obviously lie to my face is just like...
Nope. For me, it's the, nope.
Yeah, that's creepy. I'm sorry, but yeah, the whole, what is it called, Stockholm thing, that's thick. Just a little,
Yeah.
Oof.
And another thing, a lot of people think that she wrote it when she was a teenager. That's a lie. She was
in her 20s.
Yeah, she was in her 20s when she started it, and I cannot stress this enough. There is 9 of them. It's not just the first one. There is 9
There's hundreds of thousands of words in this fucking thing.
Yeah, there's 9 installments in this series. It's not just one fic. It is a series of 9 that she wrote well into her late 20s, and she still uses characters from it to this day. Her character Sage, which is her rainbow-haired, feminine boy character that she still uses, was from one of them. And in it, he was in an incestuous relationship with his siblings. Like, every single one of those installments has incest all in it.
And if it's not incest, it's pedophilia.
Or both.
Not to mention, she's made fucking games, like little RPG Maker games, where, like, literally the
The reward for beating parts of the game is you get plop CP.
What the? No.
Yeah. She put me and 2 of my exes in one of them, which I didn't know about until like a year ago. So that was fun.
Fun fact about Stockholm. She also started writing that very shortly after the last time she ever saw me in person. I took off from the house when I was 17. I was in sketchy contact with my parents for about 2 years, and then we started working things out a little bit. I went down to visit my parents at their house in Nova Scotia when I was 19, maybe 20, so Lily would have been 20, 21, and she was still living there. I still had the lock on my bedroom door, thank fucking God. And, like, we'd been alone in the house a few times, and, like, we'd interacted a few times. And then I went back to Ontario, and, like, a month later, she started writing that fucking fic.
Big ol' no. That's... Holy crap. Because, like, just do something... I know. I feel like it's already too far gone already to this point. Because, yeah, I don't know how anybody can stomach to do something like that.
She's a sick puppy, to put it very lightly.
And oh, my bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
It was just something that while we've been talking about this, just kind of remembered. It was a couple of years ago, and Josh Squitcher had actually approached KP about all of this, but didn't have the hard evidence at the time. And I remember vetting that call. And there's something that I was just thinking about that, like, sometimes proof and evidence is kind of written off depending on who you receive that information from. And I think that can sometimes be dangerous. And so I don't know if he will be watching this, but I just wanted to, like, also apologize to him because this was something that he had in the past tried to bring up, and it was something that was kind of in the back of my mind.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all.
See, what I find funny about that is Lily ended up telling on herself when he was trying to call that out, because this was back when she was running the narrative of, it was either I didn't write it at all, it's just some random fanfic that my detractors are trying to pin on me, or it was I wrote it but all the CP was edited in. I'm pretty sure it was the former, but he posted a short excerpt from Stockholm on Twitter at one point, just being like, this is what she wrote, and she turned around and tried to accuse him of sharing CP in order to get at her. So she indirectly straight up acknowledged that Stockholm is CP. She just wasn't taking accountability for it. Lily knows what she's doing. She's not stupid.
Lily does know that Stockholm is CP. She didn't know at first. That's why she was perfectly fine admitting to writing it. Just, oh yeah, no, I wrote it, but it's totally not what you think. The reason why she won't admit to writing it now is because, and it actually lines up with around the time she changed her story, a man in Nova Scotia got convicted for fictional child sexual exploitation material, and he went away for like 10 years. And that year, that fucking month, is the year Lily started changing her tune of, I didn't write that.
Oh.
Because in Canada, fictional CSEM is CSEM. It's pictureless or otherwise. If it depicts someone underage in a sexual situation, that's child porn.
If it's, from what I read, if it is very clearly meant for sexual gratification, then it falls under illegal material. And Stockholm is very much, it is not just a dark fic. It is not just Lily exploring her trauma. It is not, oh, the predator dies in the end. It's none of those things. She's lied about its contents. It is explicitly for sexual gratification and nothing else.
Yeah, it's just a bad porn script. There's no story. There's just sex scenes.
Ugh.
And, like...
And romanticized domestic abuse.
Yeah, that too. The thing is, like, it doesn't actually have to be for gratification in Canada. we're at the point now where if it's a child, or if it's depicted as childlike, and it's in a sexual scenario, it's CSEM.
No more 3,000-year-old lollies for you.
No. If it's depicted as a child and it's depicted having sex, it's child porn. Doesn't matter if you have trauma. You can't write that and put it on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
My last one, it's very silly. Because I noticed another part of YouTube's going crazy. I feel like I want to see two sinking ships go down together. So I don't know. This is probably me being just dumb right here. Probably the Senate from that art community just like tack Lily. I don't know. Kind of want to see two burning ships go down.
Well, the reason my video took so long, one of the reasons is originally Lio was going to write the video because I found out about Lily in the Senate, but then, I don't know if you saw the stuff that came out about him, but like, basically him and his adopted daughter, whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stupid stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Just dumb.
So he's like, I have a lot more time now, KP. I'm just like, yeah, probably.
And I also had stuff going on in my life and couldn't do the interview for a while.
Yeah. Okay, we got more questions, so I'm gonna...
Oh, yep,
yeah.
Bye.
Okay, you haven't asked a question yet, Raymond? You're live.
Hello.
Hi. So I've been stalking, Lily's Twitch, because she always says something crazy every time. And the latest one that I remember is, of course, she says is when, Courtney is busy doing personal things. And saying that, what Lily said basically, I told my mother what Lily did, and she's out of the will. And I'm a little confused because I don't think there was ever one mentioned before or anything.
There's no fucking will. My parents don't have fucking money. They got life insurance policies that are maybe worth like 200 grand if they're lucky.
That's what I thought. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And then
there's no will.
Then Lily goes, well, what else did she say? Something about you guys' father have some kind of I don't know. She rambles, so I can't remember most of what she says. Something about having, I forgot what she said, assets or something like that. To further convince that they have money in the will and that Courtney's out of it. And I'm just, I know it's BS.
Oh my gosh,
that out there.
The $85,000 trailer home that Lily's literally fucking trashed 9 ways from Sunday. Oh my gosh, I'm so hurt that I'm not getting that.
I just had to.
My father doesn't even own his car. He rents. He leases his fucking vehicles, and then the other one's the government's car because he works for the government. They don't have fucking money. They live in a trailer. And they have for 30 years.
Well,
yeah, this is something else Lily loves to do when she's backed into a corner and can't actually defend herself with evidence. She will resort to personal attacks against whoever is calling her out. Whether they're true or not, character assassination is another one of her favorite tactics.
The other thing is, if there is a will, it doesn't matter if I'm written in it or not, I can contest it. Because, it doesn't matter if you have a will. If you die with a will, you still have to go through court in Canada to get the government to be like, yeah, that's a good will. And that gives time for anybody who's not in it to be like, hey, fuck you, I get more than they do.
That's what I thought. She also said that, mother cut Courtney off. And I'm like, you are just talking BS. But okay, go on. As if no one can refute that, but...
Oh yeah, that's what her and Cameron are trying to say, is that my parents cut me off because I was such a financial strain on them. Yeah, that's not what happened. I called my parents up because I was losing my apartment and I had broken up with my husband and I was crying and a mess and went to my parents for help and they just wanted to ask about my ex-husband and insist that he was going to come and beat the shit out of me for some reason. So the last conversation I had with my parents was me screaming at my father. Considering I let the man put his dick in me, I think I know him a little fucking better than you do.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm so sorry I went through it, and I know, and the fact that Lily's trying to paint that as a, oh, look what they did. I'm like, that's you're already talking shit when your siblings not around, but that's kind of a low blow. That's what I. But you know what? Thank you for clearing it up because that's what I thought. That is
Yeah,
just
there's no money
bullshit.
in that family.
But yeah, that's all the questions I had. But thank you for clearing that up for me.
No
Also,
problem.
what the hell does that even matter in the context of what she's being accused of? Like,
I
how
don't
does,
even
oh,
know.
well, Courtney's poor. It's like on the same level of, oh, well, Brittany's a furry. Like,
That's like how she
so?
tries to say, I'm just jealous. Somehow I'm jealous of her success, which bitch where, and I'm also just jumping on the hate train when, like, honey, boo boo, when I came out with my testimony, no one was talking about you for 2 fucking years.
At least not on
Yeah.
YouTube.
No. Like, I looked everywhere. Everything that I found that wasn't on Tumblr was a year or two old. So, like, honey, what train? What hate train? I'm the fucking engine. I started this bitch.
Yup.
Choo choo,
Now she's just losing her
motherfucker.
mind.
Before we move on, I was gonna say, Lizzie said to you, Courtney, that we haven't really spoken before, but I'm truly sorry for what Lily did. It's honestly sick, and no one deserves that. So, nice comment.
Right back at you, hun, to be honest. I wish I had found out about Lily sooner and maybe saved you from some of this.
Okay, we got some more questions. Okay. Remove you. Add you musical. Okay, go ahead.
I had a question for Courtney and a question for Britt. I guess start with Britt first, but
I don't think it really matters, but go ahead.
sorry, just brain. But what's it called? I honestly don't remember if I had asked this the last time, but with the Tara Callie thing, I've seen some of the screen. I remember reading the screenshots in KP's video, but what in all exactly did Lily do with the Tara Callie sock puppet, aside from like trying to coerce you into a sexual relationship with her?
She used it to try and coerce Blake into a sexual relationship with her. She used it to start fights on Derpy Baru and other old image message boards back in the day. And she had a Tumblr account for it, which is still up. It hasn't been used in years, but it's still up. And I think she knows she can't delete it either because she no longer has the password for it, or because she knows if she deletes Tara's Tumblr, that's just going to be further proof that Tara didn't exist and isn't actually in jail.
Yeah, not unless she quote unquote got out on parole by some miracle.
But yeah, from what Blake has told me, he went through a lot of the same stuff I did in regards to how Tara was used against him. I think he still has a video up talking about his experiences with all of it. But pretty much Tara would goad and coerce and try to force him to quote unquote admit that he was sexually attracted to Lily and try to get him to let Lily do sexual shit with him. She also tried to flash him on a video call. Same way she did me, just with a different motive. And I didn't find out about that until I saw his video about it years later. And I thought I was the only person that she had done that to because she would keep us separate. So me and Blake never were able to talk about the things that she had done to us.
Because as long as everybody is separated, she has control over the narrative.
Yep, exactly.
She also used Tara a lot in real life. Tara was actually born offline, conceived offline by Lily. Tara came about when Lily was about 14. I was 13. No, Lily was 15. I think. No, she was 14 when Tara first came around. And Tara, when Tara first came around, showed up, she was supposedly a 14-year-old girl in the trailer park who had gotten raped by an adult, and he was convicted and thrown in jail, and Tara was pregnant by this guy, and she wanted to keep the baby, and she wanted Lily to raise it with her. And now, anytime Lily was alone in the house, then she broke something, whatever, we came home and she'd get in trouble. Oh, it wasn't me, it was Tara. Tara came over, it was her. So Tara was always an excuse, but I'm pretty sure Lily used Tara to field test things before she said it with her whole ass chest. Like, she would use Tara to say sexual things to Brittany before she would say sexual things to Brittany herself. She would use Tara to say sexual things to Blake before she would say sexual things to Blake herself. And I really think she brought out Tara to fucking field test the idea of me waking up one day with a fucking rape baby.
It wouldn't surprise me, because she did the same thing with the fan fictions. The first fanfic that she wrote before Stockholm, she wrote it under a different name and then had Tara take credit for it. And it's the same sort of disgusting child predation shit. She did the same thing with Madi Bara. Later on her Tumblr, she would use Madi Bara to field test more physically abusive and violent kind of things to her audience, so that she could vent and say things without it being tied back to her name.
But Naughty Bear was figured out a lot sooner than Tara Callie was.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a question from the Twitch chat, so we're gonna move on.
Give me 1 second. I have to call somebody.
Well, I'll read the question. We'll use So someone asks, in terms of Lily's xenophobia, is she generally ignorant of other cultures, or is she aware and doesn't care? Also, is she ever critical of Canada like she's critical of other places around the world? If that's too off topic, or I don't have any other questions, then that's perfectly fine. So does she know she's racist and doesn't care, or does she just not know? And does she ever talk about rail on Canada, essentially? So, to both of you.
I mean, it's hard to know if she knows she's racist, because, like, our parents are, like, that kind of racist. Because, I mean, Canada really is just as racist as America is. We're just more covert about it. Like, we have a lot more, those people statements than, like, outright slurs. So, we grew up with a lot of, like, backhanded, closeted racism. So it's definitely internalized, because, like, my mother would say things to me like, I'd rather you bring home a woman than a black man. Yeah. So, and, like, my father, case in point, he worked with an Egyptian woman. My father was a naval architect for most of our lives. And there was this one woman at the company he worked at. She was Egyptian and spoke 2 languages. And he would come home and bitch his fucking head off every single day over the fact that this woman didn't speak English good enough for him. Despite the fact that she was, like, a woman in a male-dominated field speaking a second fucking language. No, that wasn't good enough for him. She was, brown and her name was funny, so she had to speak perfect English.
Well, it's most racist for you.
Yeah. So we definitely grew up with it, and Lily definitely internalized a lot of it. I don't know if she's aware of it, but even if she was, she wouldn't care. And in terms of, like, Canada, Lily likes to talk as if she is an American, and she likes to talk as if she doesn't live in Canada and never has. I don't know why, but she likes to act like Canada isn't even a thing.
The impression that I get from Lily, now looking back, like, is more so a mix of both. She knows that she's racist, but at the same time is ignorant to a lot of things. Like with Japan, as somebody had mentioned in the chat. Because I remember somebody pointing out to her in her Spy X Family video how the whole Yor and her brother calling each other by their first names, that seemed more like ignorance than anything.
See, when it comes to the Japan thing, it's kind of hard to tell because Lily really hates that Sunny is still talking about his experiences and refuses to be quiet about what he went through. And I really think that Lily is so butthurt by that she's on this, like, rampant fucking anti-anime, anti-Japanese thing because she knows Sunny is part Japanese. I don't even think that's an internalized thing. I think that is her just trying to fucking dig at Sunny wherever she can.
That's definitely part of it, but I can confirm that she was like that toward Japanese culture and anime before Sunny started talking about it.
She grew up on it.
Yeah, Sunny, like, one of the things that pissed her off in regards to him was Sunny, being Japanese himself, had tried to call out some of the more blatantly racist shit that she would say in regards to Japanese culture. But the thing with Lily is she doesn't like being wrong about anything. She doesn't like having to learn or educate herself about anything because that would mean admitting that she doesn't already know something and she's not the smartest person in the room. So the racism and her horrific ego issues kind of feed into each other, where she is more willfully ignorant and spiteful because she's racist and she probably knows she is, but she can't admit that she's wrong, so she just stays there
Someone asked
and lashes out at people.
Someone asked who Sunny is.
Sunny was one of her bigger fans for a while. They interacted on Twitter a lot before one of her many accounts got nuked. They interacted on Tumblr a lot in a very friendly, not at all content creator and fan sort of way. It was more of a Lily trying to get closer to him and be friends with him kind of way.
Lily also changed her DNI so that Sunny could talk to her. Because he was under the age of her DNI.
And Sunny had been a fan of hers since he was a minor. And Sunny's been through all sorts of his own shit. And Lily was trying to take advantage of that. And then Sunny, I saw a post that he had made basically saying, if you have evidence, then show it. And I politely sent him an ask, being like, if you want to see it, here it is. Draw your own conclusion. And he looked at it and was horrified, and we started talking, and he started telling me some of what his interactions with Lily had been and how he felt about it. And it was... he didn't know it at the time, but the things he was describing was exactly what someone who had been groomed would feel.
Well, yeah, because Sunny was essentially Lily's first, like, full-on grooming victim. I'll say it. I'll, like, fuck it. People like to tell Sunny all the time, you weren't groomed because it was in public. So people have this conception that grooming has to be in private between only two people, and that's not true. Grooming's not one thing. It is normalizing inappropriate behavior. And, like, changing your DNI so that a minor can talk to you when you explicitly said minors don't interact with me, that's inappropriate.
I would say Ginger is closer to her first victim, especially since she ended up dating her. But yeah, like
Yeah, but I mean, she groomed Sunny first, and then she groomed Ginger along the way.
no, Ginger was years ago. Ginger's been around for a long time. But Sunny definitely falls into that. And that's also why she went and started trying to tell people that I groomed Sunny. Because apparently...
Or I did.
Yeah, apparently letting someone know that they've been treated incredibly terribly by someone that they looked up to and had a very obvious power dynamic with counts as grooming to her.
I'm sorry, when the person who was a minor is saying that because of your actions, they felt they had to be sexual with you, that's grooming.
Mm-hmm. And the blogs, long before Sunny reached out to any of us, the blogs had been seeing how he was being interacted with by her, and we were all worried for him. Because we had seen her do the same thing with Ginger. We saw her do the same thing with Lizzie. We had seen her do this again and again and again, and we could tell that she was doing the same thing with Sunny. She was trying to slowly pull him in. And we were worried that he would end up becoming another one of her inner circle people that she would just use and abuse.
I think the only thing that saved him from that is that he's transmask.
Probably. Honestly, I don't think she would have cared. I think she's transphobic in that way of she doesn't really see trans men or transmask people as who they are.
No, but she wants someone who's going to be effeminate, be it female or male.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
why all of her fucking characters are effeminate. Even when they're quote-unquote butch, they're just a tall woman.
With short
Which,
hair.
I mean, I hate to break it to you, Lily, but, like, a tall woman is not butch. Most butches are probably shorter than you, honey.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't mean that tall women can't be butch, I just meant that, like, tall doesn't equal butch.
Okay, let me see if we have any more questions. I'm gonna check Twitch first. If anyone has any more questions and want to raise their hand, that makes my life easier. I feel like there was one. I think someone asked me if I read the comic. No, I haven't read the comic. I think these two have, but I know it was in it one time, but I haven't read it, and I don't plan to read it.
I've read a lot of it against my will.
You loved it, right?
Those door lock scenes are just burned into my fucking brain.
Yeah, she ended up deleting that arc and is pretending it doesn't exist. Which is
First she tried to retcon it, now she's just like, nope, never happened. Be like, okay, honey.
Yeah, that's something an innocent person does.
So you totally named it the Violate arc for, like, shits and giggles. And then, no, we're just gonna rename it to something softer and prettier.
Okay.
Someone in Twitch chat had a question for you.
Yeah, I'll read it. The question for Courtney. Victims from Canada, if I'm not mistaken, that was mentioned in Essence and Thoughts video. Have you mentioned trying to get in contact with them, but Ethel wouldn't give you their contact info? How did you get in contact with the victim? I believe Ethel wouldn't give it to you, right, Courtney?
Oh, yeah, so that whole thing was, I was never in contact with that victim. I don't remember their name because it was never given to me. Ethel just likes to yell at the fact that I don't know their name. And I wasn't going to go, at the time, I still thought this person was a minor, so, like, I wasn't, as a 30-year-old woman, I wasn't gonna go just start jumping into the DMs of all kinds of minors, being like, did you sext my sister, or did my sister sext you? That's fucking weird. I had seen, when I was scrubbing through transcripts of Ethel's videos, because they're boring as fuck and I don't watch them, that she was in contact with the minor who was sexted. So I went, cool, you can get me in contact with the minor who was sexted, I can get screenshots of the sex, and I can go to the cops. She wouldn't get me in contact with the minor. Like, just flat out refused to, and then in her video was like, oh, you could have looked him up on fucking Twitter like I did, except the Twitter account's not even active anymore. And like, again, as a 30-year-old woman who my sister is a fucking child predator, I'm not going to be jumping into a bunch of people's DMs to be like, hey, did this happen? I'd rather go through someone that they know and trust to be like, hey, do you want anything actually done? I don't know if if the person's in the Canada or the States, because again, I never got in contact with them. All Ethel did was like say that, oh, they didn't want to go to the cops then. And then makes it clear in her fucking video that she's so anti-cop that she probably talked them out of going to the cops at all. Because she also told me that Glade didn't want to go to the cops, which at the time Glade didn't. But when I got around to speaking to Glade was comfortable going to the cops if it was possible. It just turned out to not be possible with what happened. With what Lily did, it wasn't actually chargeable.
Glade being the person that Lily encouraged to join the stream where her and Michaela flashed, knowing that
Yes.
Glade was a minor.
Also, the only person to get a direct apology out of Lily.
Which was backhanded, because then she immediately went and put a
said,
DMCA...
no, but it's your fault.
No, she went and put a DMCA strike on Ethel's video that contained Glade's testimony.
Of course.
Okay, question for both of you. I copy and pasted so I don't lose it. Based on this, Brittany and Courtney, would you guys consider to be at least be allies, associates again?
Oh yeah, I already told Zega it's not the time for that.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I will.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions then? I don't know if this is a question.
I do need to head out. My employer texted me and wanted to discuss something, so I'm gonna head out and grab some food before I do that.
Okay, bye, Whitney. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Whitney.
Nice meeting
Yeah,
you.
of course. Nice to meet y'all. Bye.
Okay, we're going to give it a couple more minutes for Twitch, and Riddle brought me a burger, and he says I'm the burger boy.
I was wondering what the context was that was. I just see I am the burger boy.
Question, is there any reason she went into media analysis, and is she being genuine? Oh, hi Kat. Is she being genuine with her vids, or is she doing something to piss people off, or is she purposely pissing people off?
I can kind of speak to that since I was around when she started that transition. So her channel started out as a zero punctuation clone, pretty much, where she did more social commentary type videos. Like, she had one on South Park and the Lavender Town creepypasta, but those were pretty much the only two media related ones that she had. She also had an incest one, because of course she did. But like, in the beginning,
sibling incest one.
Yeah, the original one actually got deleted and is lost to time. The one that is still up on it's either Dailymotion or Vivo, I can't remember which one, but there is an archive of one of her older ones that's also about incest. That's actually the second incest video she's ever made.
The one that's called Incestuous Relationships? Because I have that one.
Is it in the zero punctuation style?
No, it's the one where she's just sitting in front of the camera.
Then no, yeah, that's the first one she did was fully in the zero punctuation style, and it's gone.
Damn.
But yeah, during that whole transition, there was a running gag that she would do that she just hated My Little Pony and anything associated with it, and she would refuse to cover it just to piss bronies off. But the more attention she started getting from the brony community and the whole cartoon analyst sphere, the more she started leaning into it. And then she ended up, quote-unquote, begrudgingly getting into My Little Pony and being a brony analyst YouTuber. And that's when her channel started to take off. So honestly, especially given how she usually is with the things she reviews today, and how she gets so spiteful and hateful about damn near everything, I don't think she got into this sphere out of a genuine desire for it. I think she got into it because this is where she gets the most attention, and this is where she gets the kind of people that she wants to attract to her, which are people that are vulnerable in one way or another to her influence and her manipulation. Like, this is why I've said that her channel is not so much a passion project as it is bait.
Mm-hmm.
It's rage bait, it's potential victim bait. It is just bait.
Okay, checking if we have more questions. I think that's fair. Forgive me if this is too personal, but if Lily is listening to this, what would you like to say to her?
Eat shit and die, motherfucker. Sorry, sister fucker.
Yeah, that's a loaded question, because when I first started my blog, I actually did make sort of an open letter trying to appeal to her humanity. And it was quickly thrown back in my face, and I realized she doesn't have any.
Nope.
So I've tried. Me and multiple others have tried to get her to stop doing what she's doing, to self-reflect, to find healthier ways to be, to quit manipulating people, quit hurting people. But she's not capable of it. I don't think there's any hope for her. Like, she's in her 30s and she's still acting like this, and she has somehow gotten worse over the years. Like, I've avoided watching her videos, and I've avoided watching most of her streams unless they're filtered through someone else, because it's rough and it brings back bad memories. But the last stream clip that I saw of hers, where she actually showed her face and she was being snide about something Cypher said years ago, and just seeing how much pure malice just drips off of her these days. Like, I've never seen anyone get as hateful and malicious as she has become. Like, she was not that bad when I knew her. She could be hateful and spiteful and petty and malicious back then, but it has just gotten so much worse. And I don't know how she can live like that. But she'll never change, because she wants to continue to do what makes her feel good in the moment. And she doesn't want to be wrong about anything. She likes pissing people off. She likes using people. She likes feeling like she has power over people. She's just fully malicious. And Lily, if you're listening to this, I know you don't care, but I genuinely have no hope for you anymore. And I hope you meet the same fate that you claim Terra Cali did. Which would be being
Honestly,
thrown in a federal prison and getting your ass beat.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to amend what I said. Honestly, Lily, I hope you go through everything that I pray my mother-in-law didn't. I hope you have a massive fucking stroke that doesn't take out enough of your brain to take you out entirely, so that when you crack your face off a fucking bed frame and break every goddamn bone in it, you feel it. And then when you're laying there seizing on the floor in your own blood, piss, shit, and vomit, you're praying for hours for somebody to come find you. And I hope nobody fucking does. And I hope you're there and awake and aware to experience every fucking second of it alone, like you deserve to be. Because that's what you deserve, Lily. Everything that my mother-in-law did not go through, you deserve to go through.
Everyone's just saying, damn. Let her cook.
I'm good. I'm done.
No, people are giving you props, so.
I'd say that's too far, but given what I've seen in her secret porn accounts, yeah, I can't even argue with that. Once you involve children in that kind of shit, there's no hope for you.
Not a question, but I hope you guys in the next few years thrive in a world where Lily isn't in your lives at all. Yeah, that'd be nice. We can dream.
I had a decade of it. It was nice.
Yeah, on that note, I've had people tell me that I should just log off and ask me why I'm still here. I can't in good conscience bring myself away when I know she's out here doing this. If it was just adults that she was going after, then yeah, I'd walk away. Y'all can deal with it. This is too much for me. But knowing that if she had her way, she would be just outright targeting children, and knowing what she would do and what she wishes she could do, and not just children, animals as well. I can't bring myself to walk away from this until I know she's either gone or that her reputation is so inescapable that she can't pick up new victims anymore. Mm-hmm. And I've also had people ask me what the proof is for her being a zoophile. And that is a combination of things. First of all, being she outright admitted it to me through Terra Cali. And if that's not enough, during one of her TMI Tuesday sessions, she responded to an anonymous ask that might have been sent by her, asking if she'd be down to be tied up in a cage full of aroused dogs. And she was favorable to it.
Yeah, someone was like, how do you feel about the idea of being tied up naked in a cage full of horny dogs? And she goes, that's hot.
Yeah, that was basically her response. There was also the zoophile images that she manipulated Patch into doing for her.
The one she showed on her stream, but blurred out the dog cocks.
Yeah.
That's what she blurred out, were dog cocks.
Yeah, she's been blatant about all of it.
She's probably got a Beast Forum account. But that's speculation.
Okay, question. Do you guys think Lily started doing MLB content due to the audience of children, and thus that leads into a lot of her content, i.e. Steven Universe, a lot of anime, etc., basically baiting children to her?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that was the only reason. I think she is open to any type of person that would be vulnerable to her.
Lily's also been luring children around her since before she's been on the internet. She used to spend her days in the trailer park with all the mostly autistic, mostly neglected, under fucking 7-year-olds when she was like 16. I used to talk to my parents all the time about how fucking weird it was. And they used to be like, well, mentally she's only 7, Courtney, so it makes sense that she'd associate with other kids her age.
And she would talk about that in some of her earliest videos. Like, she would reference friends with kids in the trailer park.
Yeah, and that was her leaving the house to go to their houses, to lure them out of their yards, to go to some other kid's house, to lure him out of his yard, and then she'd have a fucking gaggle of fucking 6-year-olds while she's 16 years old. It's not just an online thing. And she's got access to her fucking niece and nephew, too, so that's terrifying.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that she has spent her entire online existence, including when we were friends, very vocally hating Cameron and talking about all the
shit.
Yeah, talking about all the terrible things that he's done and all the terrible things that he says to her, that he still says to her.
Yeah, he says it under my video.
Yeah, he says it under your video. His TikTok is full of rhetoric accusing anyone LGBT of being predatory and all this other bullshit.
Yet, but not Lily.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden she loves him and respects him, and it's around the same time she got access to his kids. And
well, see, I I think she's always had access to his kids. She started with the I love and respect him because I've been calling him out for raping me. At least that's where I noticed her attitude towards him shift, because I find it funny. She's like, oh, I love him because at least he doesn't misgender me in front of his kids. Yeah. The reason he doesn't misgender you in front of his kids is because he doesn't want to explain your existence to his kids. He doesn't want his kids to know that trans people exist. That's why he won't misgender you in front of them, because then he has to explain to his kids why he's calling Aunt Lily a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Considering he's all up under my video, and even the video with fucking Poppy fucking platformed my rapist. He's talking about how my only issue is that my 2 brothers were hard to handle. Buddy boy, I don't have 2 brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, if this was just about a weird fanfic, or if she only targeted adults, then I wouldn't be here.
I wouldn't be here either.
Yeah, but I know what she wants to do to children, and I can't walk away from that.
Is Courtney gonna get another Tumblr blog?
Yes, once I've got part of my life sorted out with this whole death situation. Probably soon.
Okay, is that all the questions? Because we've almost been going through for 3 hours.
Dang.
Yeah. Someone asked how we're doing.
I mean, we're alive, ain't we?
We're alive.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we've been hovering around 50 viewers on the thing, so that's pretty good. She only feels like she responds due to her subs dipping. Yeah, maybe. Okay, is everyone good? Everyone who's had a question had it answered? Okay, give it another minute or so.
Yeah, over the years, I've seen her go through damage control cycles pretty often. It's usually on Tumblr and sometimes on her streams, where she'll just have she'll start getting new accusations, or the heat will start getting too hot, and she'll have these breakdowns where she's either lashing out at people or she's self-destructing and talking about
cancer.
talking about how she's a victim of this, that, and the other, and that she's being lied about and yada yada. And I've seen her get pretty bad, but recently it's the worst I've ever seen her. Like, she is in full panic, raging damage control mode.
Yeah, she called me a slur when she was ranting about me, which, people told me about. I'm like, oh, great. An ableist slur. Good job.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I mean, I don't care. Like, I'm just laughing it off, and this is kind of how I'm approaching this whole situation. It's just like, okay, pedophile, you do whatever you need to do to feel better. So,
Right.
And that's another thing that gets me about her most ardent supporters, especially people that have been trying to start arguments in your comment section and trying to start arguments with me on Tumblr since she dropped that video. If anyone else said even half the shit that Lily does against various people, they would be all over it. But if Lily does it, it's always justified.
Well, yeah.
Because she can't do anything wrong. And if she does,
Of course
she's a
not.
victim,
I'm Homelander, don't you know?
Okay, I think we
Makes for Billy Bishop.
Everyone's just telling everyone that I'd rather be a slur than a pedophile.
Right? Oh, like I'm a crackhead or a fucking junk addict or some shit. I've been on hard drugs for 14 years. Like, alright, sure thing. I said something back to fucking my first rapist under my video, and he's like, that's what a drug addict would say. So I'm like, that's what someone who raped their sister would say.
Yeah, and the best she could do with me is that I'm apparently a basement-dwelling furry with no friends.
Okay, what's wrong with basements are like temperately the best place in the house.
And there was quite a bit of furry shit in Lily's porn accounts, so I don't know what she's
Lily,
complaining about.
your Gardevoir waifu makes you a furry. Get over it. Half the world's a furry. Like, the girl's a furry and she's hating on furries. Well, she's not a furry, she's definitely a furry groupie.
Okay, so I guess on an ending note, someone says, sounds like things are wrapping up, but wanted to say thank you all for being brave and powerful. I hope Lily is chased off the internet eventually. Yay.
That's what we're aiming for.
Someone's like, is only serious questions being answered? I'm just like, we've been here for 3 hours. Maybe at the beginning. Okay.
All bets are off now.
Okay.
I'll probably do one of these myself soon.
Yeah, and if there's a demand to cover the go through the Lily video case by case, maybe we can do one of these things again, because I think they're positive. So the video, this recording thingy bob will be uploaded on Courtney's channel in case you missed part of it or some of it or whatever. And thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for sitting with us for a while and asking questions about this dumbass person.
And let me apologize on behalf of my entire fucking familial line.
I mean, I think you took the damage there, hun. Okay, so thanks for coming, guys. I'm gonna stop the stream in 3, 2, 1.